This Sunday, our dean, John Ross, has some very interesting ideas to share with us about the lessons that are provided for us in the lectionary, about how the Spirit moves through the church and what the church is and how authority works with that freedom that the Spirit gives us. And so we'll be thinking particularly about those ideas. We'll be walking in, singing "The Church's One Foundation" as Jesus Christ our Lord. And this is a very, very familiar hymn that we've all kind of grown up singing. And yet, as so often happens with things that are very familiar, we start to become sort of desensitized to some of the beauty and intricacies of whatever it is we're talking about, whether it's a painting or, in this case, a hymn, a poem. I would invite you really, especially as we are setting the stage for the readings and for John's thoughts, to really pay attention to the text and to read about how this text very pointedly talks about how the church has been through the ages, a response to the world's demands, as well as an instrument of the Spirit moving through our world. And then as we sort of hinge and start thinking about specifically the freedom of the Spirit, at the sequence, that hymn that comes between the reading and before the gospel, we'll be singing that fairly new still hymn tune that people really enjoy singing, Bridegroom, with the text, "Like the murmur of the dove's song." And again, I invite you to pay special attention to those words, and especially as it talks about how the Spirit moves among us like a dove flying. The choir will also be responding with some beautiful music of its own. At the offertory, we'll be singing John Rutter's setting of "Be Thou My Vision." Of course, we're familiar with the Irish tune that we are very familiar with singing. John Rutter wrote an original tune for those same words that has a different take on some very familiar lines. And then at the communion, the choir will be singing a piece by the American composer Ned Rorem. Spent most of his adult life in Nantucket, very connected to that New England school, although he was originally from Richmond, Indiana. And Ned Rorem has a very distinctive musical style. You can hear something and know that it was written by him. And this piece is no exception in that. He sets some of the most beautiful and evocative poetry in the Bible. These verses from Psalm 85, "Mercy and truth are met together. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven." He starts off with sort of an organ prelude, so you'll hear the entire melody played as an introduction on the organ. So again, you can hear a very distinctive way of weaving that melody with some very surprising harmonies that are kind of derived from jazz, and yet it's also very natural and seamless. So we hope that as you think about the way that you intersect with the church and the way the Spirit moves through you, that you will come and join us and celebrate these things here at St. John's Cathedral this weekend.